So, Arcane is over and the ending is overall pretty good, but with some problems. I'll be giving some of my opinions on what I think are some of the problems and what I think was good about it. Problem 1 being the lack of conversations and connection between the sisters Vi and Jinx. The story started with the sisters, that was the point, they started all this. The whole reason we have this show is because of them. In Season 1, it did it very well on focusing on the connection and character development between Powder and Vi, eventually even having moments where they were pretty deep in their own stories and found a way to almost reconcile. Of course, at this point in the story, the conflict must continue. It was much too soon to really expect everything to be okay. That was fine. However, it was always kept the same idea. No matter how far apart Jinx and Vi were, they were the main players in the plot as it should be. The story focused on both paths they took. It felt good in having the world building and other side characters becoming more important to the main characters. The flow was very nice and it felt real and important to the plot while keeping the main theme. Now, Season 2 didn't quite match that pace. It was faster, there was less development and more action. This wasn't entirely a bad idea, but they introduced more characters, more powers, more states added to it. It added too much and happened too fast. Also, the episode structures gave less attention to the sisters. This was a bad move. It took away from the main plot and the main point. Jinx started to quite literally not be shown until later in the acts. This gave more attention to other characters, but also put a very little light on the main character. All of this caused the pacing to leave away from what the viewers wanted and expected, which in turn gave the sisters less time to fulfill their own plots and character roles because everything was happening too fast and too much all at the same time. So, problem 2, Isha. What they did to Isha was criminal. I wanted to include this because I view it as a pretty major writing screw-up. Now, even with my complaints, Season 1 and 2, the writing was amazing, no doubt, but I really do believe they made a fault with Isha. She was introduced quickly, gaining the attention of many, and becoming very important to Jinx. This is fine. But she cannot speak, so she builds her own personality through actions and gestures, often mirroring Jinx. This gave her a way to become quite a fleshed out character quickly and having a good place in the plot with Jinx. Except it ended prematurely. She died, sacrificing herself for Jinx. Now, I won't complain about her death itself, as sad as it was a fine writing move to kill her off. My problems lies within that as soon as she died, she was never mentioned again. Yes, she was the reason Jinx was so broken. However, as far as I remember, they never said her name. Didn't show any frame of her. So, despite her having such a massive impact on Jinx, such a massive impact on the plot by even going out and doing her own things to help the rebellion, she wasn't mentioned again. I find this terribly sad and also bad writing, I'll say bluntly. It's as if they brushed it aside. We also didn't get to even see Jinx's initial reaction to Isha's sacrifice. We saw her before it happened, but it would have been very important to see her right after it happened as well. This pained me to watch as I grew to love Isha's character very quickly and wished it was handled better. So, addressing the ending and why I think it's good. The ending ends with Jace and Victor fixing Victor's mistake of almost turning all of Piltover and Zaun into a mindless drones and dead people with his newfound powers. Then you have Vi and Jinx versus Warwick. I know there are other important events that happened, but to me these are the main two ones I wish to talk about. I don't have too much to say about Victor and Jace. I believe it was well written. It ended nicely with a good message of accepting some things don't need to be perfect and we shouldn't blow up the world because of it. Fair enough, Jace. Just don't show Jace a child. I think he'll lose his mind and just go on a rampage. I'm glad the world was saved and was the way it was, that they got back together and had a moment to truly connect despite beginning as enemies. So, more to my personal interests, Vi and Jinx versus Warwick and how that ended. Off rip, I'll say Warwick being there could have been different, but I understand why. This is the last remnants, last thing that symbolizes at least Vander. This is of course important to Jinx and Vi, so I want to say the reason they fought him at the end is because they wanted to bring a resolution to his story with him turning into Warwick. Just ending the symbolism of him being Vander despite all his memories and self being gone. Yes, I know. I'm just trying to rationalize it. I will say, Vi and Jinx's resolution with each other had me unfortunately wanting more. First off, they barely talked, said a few one-liners that was apparently supposed to mend almost everything, and just show them kind of being back together. It's nice to hear and see, but it feels lacking compared to a full-on conversation or something to really feel that they are getting back together and okay. Then you have these forced odd actions, like Vi checking on the passed out Warwick while Jinx is begging her to move over into a more stable platform. This was silly. Vi gets worried about Warwick, and even though she knows Vander is not there, and Warwick wakes up and attacks her, this forces Jinx to save her. This causes Warwick and Jinx to fall, and Vi holding on to Jinx while Warwick holds on to Jinx. Funny situation. So, this is supposed to be Powder, let's say, saving Vi like she always wanted. This is Jinx saying goodbye, and that she will always be with her. And also Jinx walking away from the cycle of killing as Silco told her. In the vision. So, what gets me is how forced it was. Vi should have moved. This shouldn't have happened because no matter what you think, Vi can still do all she wants from a different platform that's not falling. But it does resolve the story in a way. Yes, Vi gets her green light to stop chasing Jinx and help her, and now she can be happy with Caitlyn. Jinx can stop being Jinx and walk away from the cycle of killing and become someone more than Powder or Jinx. Which, yes, I'm going to believe as almost a fact it is that she is alive. There was a lot of evidence. I'll go over quickly. The pink trail before the bomb goes off. Caitlyn holding Jinx's bomb and looking at the air vent where Jinx was supposed to die. And finally, the airship leaving in the final scene where Powder in episode 1 said she was going to ride on one of them. You know, at the end of the day, what's really important is how the hell did Singed get the happiest ending? That's insane.